Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
I'd like to George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of the Age of Madness trilogy with A Little Hatred, and we cover The Breakers, The Answer to Your Tears, and Young Heroes. So, let's get started. As usual, folks, you know we must thank you for your support. Your support. It means oh so much. Our numbers have been consistent, if not downright great.
That's all that
Love
matters, the bottom line. As you will learn in this trilogy, that is the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
Say one thing for Val and Bulk. Say they know their bottom line.
They know what's in their vaults.
And on to our sponsors. It's from the Vanking House of Valet and Bulk.
Go into the Westport branch and meet Malthus. He'll take care of you.
Someone not repaying the debt? That's
Just
all right. Call Yuri Sulfur. He'll straighten that out.
Just don't touch any ledgers.
I was talking about that. It's like, Yoru just goes in and like eats them and becomes them. And it's sort of like, a metaphor for a hostile takeover.
Yeah, like a venture capitalist or a private equity firm or whatever the fuck.
Although
that's my headcanon now.
Although it does make you wonder, like, Yuri Sulfur has like a place in Adua that he's been like running on the side for like years and years and years, and like people come in and see him, and he's got like a wife and kids. He's still fucking.
Imagine the front. Imagine the front is that it's like Yoru's Deli.
That's all he wants to do. He just wants to make sound.
He's a fucking Whenever he transforms, he's got like a big old pot belly, and he's like, "Hey!"
He speaks with an Italian accent.
No, Greek guy. He's got to have an
spoilers, but at the end of this, when he gets his head ripped off, he just turns back into an old Italian man.
I know.
Please let me spare me. Let me make my sandwich.
There's no fucking rest.
Never a moment of peace. Hey. Okay.
We're already unhinged, and we're just getting through the thanking the audience segment. Jesus Christ. Well. Keep being loyal followers, please. Loyal subjects. We appreciate it. We love you. And we appreciate the dedication. For our community interaction segment, it's going to be kind of like a repeat of last time. Just sign up for the Memeing Every Chapter for A Little Hatred, hosted by Sir Spaceman on the House of the Meme Maker subreddit. Please make your way on over there. I think there's still a couple chapters that need to be filled out, right? I think I saw him say something about that.
Yeah, we got the usual 6 people that do them all, but we need more.
Yeah.
Anybody that's listening that hasn't already signed up, go and get at least one. There's at least one chapter that you can think of a meme for. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. You could do it.
Go on, son.
You could do it. And so anyway, we'll move on to our first chapter read-through, which is The Breakers. This one, ladies and gentlemen, introduces yet another new character to the plot line. This one is Vic, or Victorine.
Victorine Dan Toy.
Victorine Dan.
I'm just going to call her Nectarine from now on, just so you know.
Nectarine, love it.
Just every time I think of that.
Yeah. So if you remember, folks, she references this when she's explaining to Greece. Yes. That she did have a Dan in her name, and that her father was master of the royal mints.
What a callback, Joe!
Yeah,
some random throwaway guy in the very first 3 chapters of the blade.
And it works so well as well because we already know several other characters that have come out with the fucking penal colonies, especially Pike, who is the other first victim. Pike was the first and Teufel was the second. So
was Teufel the second, or was he the third?
He was the second. Kaelan was the third, right?
Kaelan, okay, right. No, but I'm thinking of the 3 people in the trial, and the second was that assassin.
Oh,
right?
in the trial, the third one was the assassin. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So okay. Gotcha. So Teufel, and we do remember if you remember, like this is going back obviously years and everything, but Glocta basically did like either allude to in his inner monologue or say it out loud. But take his wife, take his kids. They're all going to the penal colonies.
Yes,
and now
here in the Union we support collective punishment.
Yeah, and now we see the literal fruits of that labor right there, which is Victorine. Oh, folks.
And I think it's presented in a good way, too. Like, as usual, Joe is really good at giving very quick exposition that gives a lot of information.
Yeah.
Reese is like, oh, it sounds like, you're all fancy and shit. And, she's like, well, you're right. I used to have a Dan on my name. And Grease is like, the entire chapter, she's hot and heavy, and she's like, you're a bastard. How do you know that? She's all suspicious of Vic. And Victor's like, how dare you fucking question me? You're like, I grew up in the camp. It was fucking hard. Like, I know exactly what I'm fighting for. Do you know what you're fighting for? And she switches around on her. It seems to be only Grease, though, is suspicious of her. We, of course, know very shortly, not in this chapter, which I thought was a clever way of presenting it, because I did think I was following a rebel when I first read this, rather than somebody working for Glocta. So I thought that presentation-wise, it's done really, really well. And it's crazy that this girl grew up in fucking England. And, and she's also the most underrated character in this trilogy, by far.
At the time...
Also, the most hard done by. Let's just push it, right? This person went to fucking the penal colony when they were 11 years old.
8. She was 8.
8 years old.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, that's the worst thing that could ever happen to you.
Her father, her mother, her brother, and her sisters, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So, she's the only survivor, too.
Yeah, which is wild. We find out more about that later. But she's out here in some room, in some, like, I don't know, some hovel or whatever, with Grease, who's also a fellow breaker. We're following the breakers, name of the chapter. And these are the people that, if we remember in the Orso chapter previously, which I know our memory might have been, might be a little hazy there because of all the brother-sister fucking there. But in the beginning of that chapter, there were people being hanged.
Yeah, there was a thing of several people being killed.
Yeah.
So now it turns out, at least from these people's perspectives, that all they were doing was talking about how hard done by they are.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Because then we have Sybil and Moore, I think. Moore, they come in and they tell him, like, oh boy, they hanged Reed, they hanged Cudber, and they hanged his daughter. And yeah, Grice confirms what Orso had thought in the chapter. It was like, she can't have been more than 15. Nope, yep, she was 15. Straight up. Yep. And like you said, George, just for organizing, just for trying to get workers to stand together and speak with one voice, that's treason now.
And this is where we get to see how really fucking bad the Union has become just as a place to live in. And when we see it from Savine's point of view, where she's like, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter that there's children working in my factory all those miles away, but we get to see it from, like, down on the ground. And, like, yeah, you can't even talk about the fact that you haven't got enough to eat without being hanged for it. That's a horrible place.
Yeah. So it looks like this little group of breakers, they're going to plan something that it obviously is more than just talking now, more than just organizing. They're going to try to fuck some shit up. And Vic here is the one that seems to have the least emotional attachment to the people that were hanged. So she's able to think clearly, but she's asking a lot of, good pertinent questions. Now, knowing what we know, we're like, this sneaky bitch. But she's thinking about the logistics of everything. They're going to use Gurkish fire to blow up the Hill Street foundry. Bang, 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 bang. That's what they're going to do. And I like how even Moore had said, yeah, even though Hill Street's gone because they pulled it down to build a foundry, which is, isn't that funny? Yep. Yeah.
This is just like most of Europe throughout, like, the 18th, 19th centuries.
Yeah.
Pretty much how it was. I mean, there's like a certain fact that, you can kind of get to sort of bring it to your level. So, when the Beatles first got into popularity, there was still like 4 families living in one house in Liverpool.
wild.
Are you talking about the Beatles, or are you talking about just in general?
The Beatles, the band in real life, not in the First Law universe. I hope there's not a Beatles in the First Law universe. That would be weird. But yeah, in real life, in Liverpool, when they were first formed, there were still people living in these kinds of conditions. In the
No,
70s.
but that's what I'm asking. Are you talking about the Beatles specifically they lived in one house, or are you talking about?
No, not them. I mean, in Liverpool, there were places where there were still
Gotcha.
living.
That's what I'm asking. Okay. Wow.
And that was only like 50 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. I was watching a documentary, which this is probably a tangent. We probably I'll never mind.
It's important. It's important to talk about this content because this is the setup for the whole series, especially.
I agree. I think a big part of why people listen to our read-throughs is because they're looking for different perspectives and maybe a wider perspective, maybe a closer perspective. So go ahead, Jeffrey. If you edit it or George edited it and you guys think it's too much, then we can cut it out or edit it.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I was just saying because what you had said, like at that time, you have 4 people living in one house. It also, I was watching the documentary.
4 families living.
4 families. I'm sorry, 4 families. I remember I was watching the documentary of the Ripper, the Yorkshire Ripper, and it was talking about in the early episodes. It was talking about how in that area, Yorkshire, Manchester, that.
Even in London at that time.
Yeah, in London too. Like I know, like prior, so like maybe in the 40s and 50s, like during like right after the war, there was a big It was well known for textiles, right? And then obviously industrialization came again, and took a lot of the people's jobs, and it just talked about how like things just straight up turned into slums so quickly, like overnight, and you had so many people like you said, kind of like packed in like sardines.
Mm-hmm.
You see that there.
That brings me straight on to the next point, which is the Breakers are obviously the Luddites, right? You know about the Luddites?
No,
I know about Luddites. The word I don't know about it relating to specific.
So in the 18th century or the 19th century, when industrialization took over in the same way that it is happening here in the First Law, there were a group of people called the Luddites, and they went around and had these exact same grievances. They had grievances against machines taking people's jobs, but they weren't actually against the technology taking over. It's just the fact that, now somebody has the power to kick you out of your job and tell you that you're not worth anything anymore.
Right, which is obviously then where the term, I guess,
and the number one thing that connects this to the First Law is that they followed a man called Ned Ludd, who was a legendary weaver.
Joe, you sly dog.
Wow.
Which
I love that.
Tie that back into the reference here of the chapter. Whenever they're questioning, like you said, they're gonna maybe blow up this foundry. They're like, how do you know that this is good powder? Or Vic is like, how do you know this is good powder? She's all suspicious of it because, like, what if it's a trap? What if all this stuff? And Sybil's like, I got it from the fucking Weaver. Like, we're good. Like, he whispers it because it's secret. Like, not everybody needs to know, but I got it from the Weaver. It's not, it's legit shit.
Yeah, even at this point, you can kind of tell that it's sort of like a code word. Like, it's from up above, the higher tier that we don't talk about because, as Vic says here, once they start torturing you, and we know this from Glockter as well, like once you start torturing somebody, they're gonna fucking talk.
Yeah, they're gonna talk.
And that's a good part in this as well because Grease and some of the others. So they're there's Moore, Grease, Sybil, and Tallow, all horrible names. But Grease and a little bit of Moore, and Tallow doesn't really say much, but Grease and Moore are like, they're like, oh, we're not going to talk, and they're not going to capture us. Like, why are you asking all these questions, Vic? And she's like, because if we get caught, the less you know, the better, because you guys are going to give up everything. And Grease's like, I'm not a fucking talker. I'm not going to say anything. And she's like, you fucking will. And I think it's a good reminder that the person who is running the Inquisition is still Old Sticks, which is such a good nickname for.
I was thinking that.
We get that first image of Glockter, 30 years, 27 years later.
28.
28 years later.
Tap pan.
Yeah.
He's going to be in a wheelchair at this point, man.
Old Sticks. I love it.
You barely walked 20 years ago,
Yeah, so they kind of like go through the plan of like what they're gonna do, right? Then there's obviously a bit of a break, and then it turns out that Victorine and Colin Sibbald are fucking. Wow.
There's a lot more sex in this trilogy than there was in the last one.
Yes, there is
Yeah.
a hell of a lot.
And I'm like, and it kind of makes sense for the the premise and the characters and all that. But I do think it's funny, we look at these other characters, and he starts making symbolism with the sex. Vic is a top; she's in charge of the situation, and then you have Orso and Savian, who are currently very like they're very giving to one another. They're very equal at the moment. In terms of their relationship, and there is, I think, a little bit of intentionality there, since he has so much more sex in this series.
I've never thought of Joe as somebody that puts in any kind of gratuitous sex scenes. I have seen that described when it comes to this series, though. A couple of people that are more fantasy purists, or especially love the first trilogy more, read this and go, "Oh no, there's just too much sex in it." It's like, yeah, but every single one has some kind of character moment in it, or
does.
some kind of way that tells you a character is developing,
yeah,
or sets the tone for the character in general.
And let's be real, they're all better. In fact, he doesn't do the thing he does in the first trilogy, which is
No, there's no vocalization.
There's no vocalization.
Except that first one in the last chapter.
Yeah. It's not played up. Like, that part's a comedic moment, obviously, but for the most part, there isn't like this over the top. In fact, the more times that characters have sex throughout the series, the more interesting it becomes. Yeah, the more interesting it becomes, the more emotional it becomes. So, anyways, I just thought that's interesting. Now that we're to our second sex scene, kind of half sex.
Yeah, yeah, and so like obviously they have a connection, but they keep it secret from the rest of the group. It seems like they actually do care about each other, even though Vic says, "Oh, I do trust you," but internally we know that apparently that's a lie because she trusts no one. And then apparently they talk about like, all right, well, where would you go? If it's like had to escape right from Adua, from the Union. And this man wants to go to the far country because of the book, The Life of Dab Sweet. by Maren Glanhorn.
And I love it's not Swarbrick. I love
it's not Swarbrick.
Because it means there's cheap copies in the First Law universe, There's already, we know that Swarbrick wrote his fucking histories on it, and then it's like, I'm just gonna write a book about it as well.
So or is that Swarbrick's pen name?
No, I don't think. I think Swarbrick's too vague.
Swarbrick would not have a pen name. Yeah.
Is Glanhorn is Glanhorn one of those other authors that Swarbrick was like, belittling in Red Country?
Thinking about it, how Joe said that Swarbrick is his self-insert. Does that mean that this is Joe's way of telling us that he's written other books under a pen name?
I don't think so. That's hilarious, though, George.
That's crazy.
I like this. I like this part a lot for Sybil because, like, it does seem, especially for the First Law, and Vic has the same reaction. You're like, oh my god, look at this child. But like, there is something special about it. Like, he is just wanting peace. He is just wanting to be free, and it's just such an innocent, pure way. And he's obviously very vulnerable with Vic. And so it does seem kind of corny up front, but like, they've obviously been sleeping together. He's obviously showed her multiple times. And I just like that, like, this is his fascination. In a lot of stories, this would be like, oh, this is his caricature is, oh, he wants to be in the far country. But like, it's handled more tastefully here. And I think it's done pretty
like
well.
a part, right, exactly, where she notices that, like, he says it with a sad smile that he knows that it's just a made-up drawing in a book full of lies. That he's thinking like it was a fun game to play, but just a game. And then he says, like, there comes a time where you have to give up on what you want and make the best of what you're given. And it's like, oh, this is like, those instances where you find yourself like, life didn't turn out the way you envisioned it when you were younger. But that doesn't mean that it's all bad.
You kind of got to bear in mind from this guy's perspective as well, like, he's probably never seen, like, outside of a grey, dingy street. in his
Probably,
entire life.
Yeah,
Like this
probably.
drawing of a great big open wide space with lots of green is just like heaven,
Yeah.
Elysium.
Until Vic is done with him, which
Mm.
Actually, there's a lot more to that, Jeffrey. You may have forgotten, but Vic,
I forget. I think I do forget, but
Vic genuinely, I would say she actually does love
Care
Sybil,
about him.
whether she knows about it. No, I don't. I think she loves him. She
You
just
think she
doesn't
loves
really.
him? Interesting.
I think she does because she doesn't really think about it that way yet. Like she doesn't realize that because she's so guarded and she's so obviously she's double agent. But she, whenever he does die here soon, which we'll get more into at that point, she's really impacted by it, and I think it affects a lot of her actions. It's kind of like with Glocta early on. You're reading his chapters, and then he has that conversation with Wes, and you realize that his character does actually change. Like she doesn't really change her character, but her intentions and her motivations does change after he dies. Like she does. She's not quite as like she realized that there was more. You know, she whenever before this point, she didn't realize there was more. She thought she doesn't have any choice. So she has to be the Inquisitor and all that. And through the entire rest of the book, the entire rest of the series, she's thinking, is this really right? Can I do something else? You know, and I think it's done really well. It's just very subtle.
I think exactly the same way as well, because especially we get some context on Vic later, but she's always been the kind of person. I mean, we even see like one of her first like big deep thoughts in this chapter is tell as much of a truth in a lie as possible.
Yeah.
So she throws herself, and she actually feels that emotion while she tells that lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while she's doing, and playing along with this relationship, she actually feels 80% of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is even more tragic because
she they're saying there's lines like this too, like a grin spread across his face after showing him, like after he asked her to go with him, and she's like, "Where would we go?" And a grin spread across his face. Seeing it made her smile. First in a while, hardly felt like her mouth to bend that way. You don't Vic does not just do that. To fake it. She's not faking it.
Yeah, and especially she's not trying to. Joe is not the kind of writer to try and trick us with the characters in a monologue.
Yes.
So this is genuinely what the character is feeling, even if they may not be, they might be in the way that Logan does, like fooling themselves. But this is genuinely what the character is feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Vic, obviously, like you guys have mentioned, she plays her cards close to her chest, right? She plays it tight. Yeah. At the end, because Column Sybil is talking about how once when they strike the spark of the foundry and everything, it's going to change everything, and it'll change everything between them. And she goes, "Yep. So let's take what we can get. If I learned one thing in the camp, is that you shouldn't look too far ahead. Chances are you'll see nothing good there." And that's how it ends. And it's like, gee, that really like gives us insight into Vic's like just mindset. Just like,
into the rest of the fucking book too.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. How do you rate this one, boys?
I know a lot of people don't like Vic, but I fucking love Vic. I know everybody complains about it.
Wait, people don't like Vic?
Yeah, it's annoying.
He's probably one of the most complained about characters in the first
Interesting.
book that I've seen since I was last on Reddit, which I'll probably never do again. But
I'm cool. I'm cool with Vic. I like her. She's cool.
I'm going to give this one a 7. I like this chapter. I like the fact that we get a lot of introduction to the way that the Union is, the Breakers. Obviously, we get the direct historical connection to the Luddites, and we kind of know how the story is going to go down already, which is fine.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
No, I'm going to give it a 5. I like it. Not a lot happens, but it's just a nice, like, little. This is a setup chapter. Okay, we are introduced to Vic. Old
It's a
Sticks.
hell of a setup chapter.
It's good. It's good. I like it. But just a 5. We get to meet the other Breakers. First time ever. Even when you read this for the first time ever, you kind of think something about this little romance with Sybil. Something tells me not destined to last for a long time. Especially in these instances, right? Where like, oh, we're rebellious traitors or whatever.
I'd like to know what people think about that, because I didn't have that feeling at all when I read this.
You thought Sybil and her was
the first time I read it, I thought it was more. it was meant to be more tragic than it is meant to be. Betrayal, tragic.
No. What I mean is like it didn't last long.
Okay.
Like I knew it wasn't gonna last long. Like that, no, it wasn't gonna be.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
I definitely did not think that. I'm gonna give it. I'm also gonna give it a 7 because I think it's a really good character introduction, and I think it's the way that, like, the first time I read it, I didn't read it and go, "Oh, she's totally gonna betray them," like off the bat. Like, it's a setup chapter, but he handles a lot in a way that it doesn't take away from the character later on or on a second read through. That's really hard to do, to give this much character while hiding the double agent aspect immediately. And he hides it through the next chapter too, until the event happens, and even until like they're doing the investigation, and then like, you know, Glockta goes in there, is like, so you're with the Breakers, blah 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 blah, or whatever. So I think I think this setup is really, really well done, because it sets you up for an expectation and has some hints of something else without really giving any information. You really can't guess it the first time. I mean, maybe some people were like, she's obviously a double agent, but I don't know how you would have known that. Like, Vic is so good at being a double agent that she fools the audience, is what I'm trying to imply. And I think that's really impressive.
I think the only real giveaway is that she says, like, when you tell a lie, tell as much truth as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
When she says that to Brief. That is the only one, but she might not be lying specifically about being a double agent. She might be lying about, like, her information and how she feels about it instead of that, you know.
Yeah. And she, and all that too, like, I think a big reason why people don't like Vic is because they have this issue where people can't help but compare her to Glockta. And it's like this issue where they go, oh, you know, she went to the camps. Like, we get it, Vic. Oh, your life is so hard. The thing is that really bothers me.
First trilogy when it's like, yeah, body found floated by the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was tortured in the dungeons of the shaft.
Oh, you don't know pain. I know pain. You know, the entire fucking series is him doing that. And no one has a problem. But Vic does
it's
it.
good.
And, yeah. Vic,
and this is good also.
Yeah. No, it's great. But the fact is, if we're going off anything of any morality, I mean, you could say she's more knowingly written. She's written differently intentionally. But at the end of the day, Vic is a better person than Glockta. And I think that is bothersome for me, that people don't recognize that.
Yeah.
It really bothers me, actually. People don't like Vic for mentioning things and for choosing not to be an evil monster. Like, come on, bro.
So, Vic, obviously, with what happened with Colin Sybil and everything, but and her eventual betrayal, you think she's still a better person than Glockta? I'm not saying. I'm just asking.
Yeah,
I mean, by the end of the series, 100% definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, by the end of the series.
Yeah, okay,
because basically she goes through all the quote-unquote trials and tribulations that Pike does, that Glockta does. And she goes through all those. And each time she goes through them, instead of reinforcing this idea that she has to win, it reinforces the idea that the world is shit, but she has a choice. And at the end of the series, she does something almost no other character does, other than like Chazal and whatever. And she fucking walks away. She chooses to be a better person. And I think that this start is such a good setup for that entire arc. So
excellent.
But we'll discuss that arc way more.
Yeah, we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it way more, absolutely. But thank you for the ratings, boys, for the fingers. And now we will move on to our next segment, which is Best Meme of the Week. Georgia boy, that's you. Take it away.
Okay, so this week we have Undead Sloth, which is another good name. Great name. Another good band name as well. I find a lot of band names when we come to the Meme of the Week usernames, you know. And this is the classic, the Mr. Incredible meme when he becomes really depressed. And it's Tilduru, I'm heading down to the gate. And those who don't know and those who know. Yeah. The second you hear that, whenever I reread The Last Argument of Kings when they're up in the high place, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to go down the gate and check on Logan. Don't worry about me. And like, oh, no.
Don't do it,
Tilduru, don't do it.
Hang on. I thought it was. Is it the Matthew McConaughey? Oh, it's not. It's the Mr. Incredible. Mr. Incredible's good too, but the Matthew McConaughey, the banging on the thing. Wait. No, Marv, don't go, Marv. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. That's a good meme.
Continually original memes that we see on House of the Meme Maker. It's continually one of the funniest fantasy meme sites on Reddit, which is, there's only like 6 of them, but
yeah, that consistent.
Still number 1 out of 6 ain't bad. So yes, thank you very much, Undead Sloth, for that.
Appreciate it. Love the effort. It was a good one. So move on to our second chapter read through, which is the answer to your tears. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, is another Rika and Isern Ifail chapter. They have been on the move for quite some time. Rika, at this point, like how she mentions it, like how sometimes you wake up from a nightmare and there's like a wonderful sense of relief as the horrors you saw, which is part of nightmares. She went through a thing where like it was kind of reversed. She went to sleep, had nice dreams and everything. Wakes up, and turns out there's a dead man hanging from a branch right above her. She's like, "What the fuck?"
It's like when you're a kid and you dream it's your birthday, and then you wake up and you're like, "Oh,
yeah."
That disappointment."
That's a great point, George. I think that's something that's nice about, like, I'm trying to find a new appreciation for these early Rika chapters, because other than the first one, they feel like, I don't know, weaker than a lot of the other ones, which I think they are. I do think there is something to note that, like, this is an aspect that is only mentioned a couple times, and it's basically the loss of her childhood happens here. The loss of her being a kid. And I think it's done well. It's just we're used to that over and over and over again in these stories.
Oh, you mean like the youthful ignorance kind of thing?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Isern even says it later in this chapter as she's poking her very hard in the boob. It's like, you are fucking sheltered and you have no idea what the world is really like. So you better fucking grow up quick or you're gonna die. And then Rick is just like, okay.
Yeah. So
grow quicker, you're gonna die. Excellent point.
I think to your point, Harrison, is that like, well, these chapters they feel more like filler check-ins. Like, let's check in where Rika and Isern are. And honestly, I don't even know where they're at now. Like, are they still going to Ufrith, or are they going somewhere else? It doesn't say.
I do. They're just trying to evade, and they're trying to. And I do feel like Joe does that though. Like, direction and destination don't really matter.
He's like, the details, like, who cares?
I mean, I'm ready before their hand at the moment, and it's just like, when West and the group and Three Trees and Dogman are going through the woods, and they're like, where are they going? It's just like, well, wherever Bethold isn't.
Right.
And I do think that Joe does like the bare minimum. He doesn't have like inconsistencies, but he doesn't give details. So they're somewhere in the north, presumably. Maybe they're in England.
They don't have a map, do they? They're just like, let's go fucking that way until we find some friendly people.
Yeah. But that's basically it, right? Is that it's just a check-in, and I mean, there's not really much here, obviously, but the stuff that we do get like, just like you see, like you talked about, George, the youthful ignorance getting, I don't want to say ripped away, but smothered away, I guess I would say.
Yeah, smothered's good. Yeah.
And I mean, like, Isern still comes with some wild shit. Like, her dad used to say that you could see all the beauty in the world in the way a hanged man swings, which is
something he said, the evil bastard.
Oh, he say that?
He said it he said it. Yeah, because whenever they hang the people, I think it's when they hang some people.
When Black Dow cuts the bloody cross.
Yeah.
After the
Yeah, because he's talking to Logan. He's like, you can always see it up.
And even Logan looks at him like, what the fuck are you
mad bastard.
Yes, I love that.
But yeah, so there's not really much here, besides that.
Yeah.
And then obviously Isern slaps the shit out of her. When she tricks her, she goes, "Do you know what my dad would say whenever I cried?" And Rika's like, "No." And then Isern just quackata right in the face. And she goes, "That's what he would say." And that is the answer to your tears. You soon learn to stop mewling and attend to what has to be done. And then she
But
slaps
by the
her.
way, I think that Pacey does such a good job. He does Rika's voice like, no! Like, full on sobbing tears. It's so sad. It's just a sad sound.
Oh man.
Especially here, like, so this tirade from Issa goes on for a little while, just like going on and slapping and poking her. And eventually Rika just goes, "You bitch!" Punches him right in the face.
It's
You
great.
cunt.
Yeah. You cunt.
You
As he
can't.
says.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great because it's actually I mean, you know, it's perfect. Like I know we talk about this all the time. It's like perfect symbolism, right? Like Rick is like it's starting is like you gotta become tough, girl. So she gets tough. She actually does, and that is Rika's character.
Yeah,
She seems soft. She is not soft. She don't fuck around.
A little bit, just going back as well, that I like the fact that this is sort of like when Black Dow is slapping West. When he falls, it's like, "You're not getting cold on me, boy, are you? Come on, let's go." Slapping him across the face. And it is very similar to that. That is just a very northern attitude. Like,
yeah,
you got to be angry. You gotta, come on, let's go.
I'm gonna actually
like
literally
I said, you got to get harder. You're gonna die.
Yeah. And I do like this one little real quick aside before we get to the end of this is Rika talks about, you know, her reminiscence, right? Reminiscing about like Ufrit and her dad and everything. So she's not talking about, or at least thinking about her father getting dewy-eyed at every mention of Three Trees and Thunderhead and Black Dow, even raising his cup when a voice rumbled out the name of the Bloody Nine. It's just like,
yeah.
I like that. I like
I
that.
love that.
He still
love
remembers Logan fondly for probably their earlier years.
Yeah. He's really early years. Really
Well, they grew up together, didn't they? I know I don't want to talk too much about Logan here, but you know they grew up together. So of course
that's true.
It changes the way you view somebody. It really
Everybody
does.
else that grew up with him got strangled, so you know.
Yeah,
big deal. I also think too, like honestly, guys, every single time Dogman pops up in this fucking book and into the next one, I have a hard time not crying, man. He's so almost like my boy. He's so old, but he's still the good man. He's still the best one. Whenever you first read the original trilogy, like my brother and my wife are doing now, like they don't know what he goes through. The fact that he stays good. He's the only one that does. Everyone else becomes a-holes.
Yeah, Shivers
or already were. Yeah.
Shivers turns around and everything, but I hear what you mean.
But just then, when Rika actually does turn around and punch Isern's impressed. She's like, "Yes, finally, come on, there it is. There's that fucking
good. Give him to your hatred."
Yeah, and then she goes, "Now are you warmed up and ready to dance with me westwards?" And she looks at the hanging body and she goes, "Or would you prefer to dance beside our friend?" Insinuating she'd kill Rika, I guess. Oh, Jesus. And then Rika just like takes a long breath and, obviously doesn't have anything, but she goes, "Well, I'm all packed, so let's go." And chapter ends there. So, boys, what would you rate it?
I do like it, but like you said, it is very much a sort of like interim chapter. There's a little bit of character work. I like the Rick stuff. I like the parallels, but it's very short and it's very simple. So I think maybe a 3.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think I was going to give it a 3 too. Not a lot happens. It's literally like, and now to check in with our heroes. Boom, and it's like that's literally what it feels like.
Yeah, very true.
Harrison?
This is the chapter that I feel like the other chapter could have fit into.
Yeah.
Like if they had that part and this part, with the break in the middle, because Joe never has a problem doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It would have felt a lot more like as a whole chapter, like, oh, this is her arc chapter, for going through this tough stuff. But because of that, I also agree. I think, honestly, I feel the same way as I do for the other chapter. I feel like the weakness of them is that they're not together, and maybe they would have been a 3 together, and without them, they're more like a 2. I'll give this one a 2. They're not very good. They feel very YA, and that's okay. It's just in comparison to all the other stuff he's got going on, it's like, oh yeah, Rika's in the wild, I suppose.
It is very much samey. I almost feel like this might be an editing thing, though. I feel like this got sent to the editor, and it was originally like, audiobook-wise, like a 50-minute chapter, and then got broken up.
Maybe
because that's the way it works in the original trilogy, and also in the standalones a little bit more.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's more of an editing thing than more of an authorial thing.
Maybe. I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know unless we get
Never-
Abercrombie on this chat, on this podcast, and he is being
It's still-
completely candid.
It's still a dream, gentlemen. It's still a dream. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Joe, if
Never-
you're listening, we're still open.
We're wide open, Joe.
So we'll move on to our next segment, which is our character spot. Boys, who are we shining a spotlight on?
We are going to be signing it on Grease because she is like, when you first read this chapter, you're like, why is she so aggressive? Like, Jesus Christ. But to be honest,
She's like the classic
she's on
bully.
to something.
She's like the classic bully, isn't she? She's so insecure and she just like latches onto everything that people say, like, "Oh, why are you doing this? Oh, you can't do that. Are you a coward?" Blah blah blah. But that always comes from a really, really like a place of like depravity where you've been deprived of something,
Right, or insecurity.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is somebody that has like been brought up, and she, God knows what kind of fucking jobs this person's done in their lives,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously, let's not forget
the
Vic
first time
Lewis.
you ever get into this group of people that are, willing to do something about it and have the same sort of mindset. You're gonna be that way, aren't you?
Yeah, and let's not forget that Vic is the newest member here, so she's going to be paranoid, especially when they get the news that the other 3 people got hanged, right? Just for talking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those 3 people got hanged. Now you're suspiciously here all of a sudden. Oh yeah, that's.
I wonder how long Vic has been here though, because
And to be fair, she's right.
right. No, she is right.
She is right. That's what I'm saying.
She's right.
She's kind of a bitch, but like she's not wrong. She literally is catching on to the fact that Vic, she's the only one who does. Vic is just too smart for her.
It's like that thing. It's like that thing where a person like, oh my God, you're acting crazy. That like a significant other. Okay, like say you're in a relationship with somebody, right? And you think your significant other is cheating on you, and you act crazy, and you're like, oh my God, you're acting crazy. But you are acting crazy until you're proven right. Right? That's the thing.
Exactly.
Like, were you ever really acting crazy? That's the thing. So that's her. For her. But I do wonder, how long has Vic been there? At least with this little sect of the Breakers or whatever. I wonder how long it's been.
I mean, from the way that she and Sybil are talking,
maybe a couple months.
Yeah, a couple of months, maybe.
Can't be more than that, I don't think.
I don't know, but like, is that we never really found out like how she gets her way into this situation.
Right. So she's just there.
Yeah, we don't know if that developed afterwards or whether that was her way in.
Yeah, I feel it's hard to say. They really don't make it clear, and that's all right. But yeah, you really don't know which way it's going.
I guess it's another one of those like little detail things that Joe is just kind of like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the point, isn't it? Like, Grease is one of these very, again, realistic characters that Joe writes. Mm-hmm. That is just, you can absolutely see somebody acted this way. Everybody knows somebody that is insecure and takes the piss out of people and is very like aggressive in that way, even with other people that aren't Vic in this chapter.
Yeah,
and
very newbie. I'm dedicated to the cause, that kind of person. And I love it. I think it's a very good, even though we only see this and then, 5 seconds of her in Wisdom of Crowds, maybe? Mm-hmm. Like, it's a very well-written character that gets you into... And even though they really just exist to bounce off Vic.
Doesn't she... And correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sorry, it's been a while since I read this too. I think she dies. Doesn't she die in this next chapter?
No. So in Wisdom of Crowds, Leo comes out and he sees Grease. Like the script,
that's right.
Like the name is said. So she's been in the cell since from now until the...
That's right. You're right.
Wait, Leo comes out of what?
So Leo comes out of the cell, right at the beginning when they take Leo to the Agrion after the Battle of Zoffenberg. And then the Great Change happens and all the prisoners get let out. And Leo sees somebody who is confirmed to be Grease. Or at least in my mind. I may have misread it, but I think that is Grease.
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out.
We'll see in a couple of years, gentlemen.
Yeah, we'll see.
Listeners, you put a comment on Spotify and prove me wrong.
Prove us wrong, if anything.
But yeah,
But yeah,
excellent character. Very well done.
well done. You know, brief appearance in that chapter, but very fleshed out, I guess we could say, by the characterization. So well done. Grease, we hardly know ye, and we hope to see more of ye. So thank you for that. With that, we'll move on to our third and final chapter read through for this episode, which is Young Heroes. And so you already know, boys, ladies and gentlemen, you already know that this is our boy, the young
Captain
lad.
Luther! Captain Luther, you're my man.
Oh my man. Oh God, Leo Dancourt is he's back here, and Jesus Christ,
Man, I think you should just like enjoy Leo while he's being a nice guy.
Yeah,
This
okay,
yeah, this is like when
I think
when I'm
you-
reading this, I'm like, wow, it's like you
Look
could
at this! Look at this bright young man. He's so full of like he's so full of potential.
Bluster.
Why does it go so wrong?
Vim and vigor, right, and everything,
Them
and,
and bigger. Yeah.
and wants to share in his men's hardships and everything, and galvanize the troops. So him and Harrison, were you saying something? I'm sorry.
I just was saying, I think people who get annoyed with Leo maybe on a second read through, you guys need to treat it one, and remember that like you hate him because he's so well written, and number two, treat him like Giselle. When you first read Giselle, you're like, oh my god, this guy's so annoying, but then you realize it's so like over the top sometimes that you're like, it's kind of funny actually.
Yeah.
Oh, foreshadowing, you're just saying.
And
Yeah.
and I just want to say as well, like also could have done 100 times more good in 1 year of not being a whoring, drinking bastard than Leo could have done his entire life. So
But I
blame
do-
also, not Leo. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do love. There are some nice tidbits here, though, right? Right.
Yeah.
Like, he had mentioned there was a line somewhere where, where he's upset because they haven't gotten any reinforcements from the king. And he talks about like the days of warrior kings like Herod the Great and Casimir the Steadfast were far in the past, and supplies of patriotic bluster were running dangerously short. Right? You see those little tidbits here of like him becoming disillusioned, right, with the storms a
Yes.
little bit, and then
Good point.
obviously we get the part where it's like, the part where it's like he's standing around his friends, and they're he thinks about like how all his friends were fine looking men in their own ways. Jin was
There's a whole fucking paragraph about this.
I'm gonna do that right now. Jin was fierce as the bloody nine in a fight, but when that toothy grin split his red beard and those blue eyes twinkled, it was like the sun coming out. And then you couldn't deny Barnava made the brooding veteran act worked for him, especially with the scar on his forehead and the white streak that left in his hair. Then Gloward was a slab of good-humored manliness with the height, the shoulders, and the stubble already thick an hour after he shaved. As handsome a crowd of young heroes as you could hope to find. But the ladies might not see it, but Durand was the best looking of the pack. They might have called his features soft, besides Gloward's cleft chin or Antop's sharp cheekbones. But Leo thought of them more as delicate, subtle, the slightest bit vulnerable even. But you'd find no one tougher than Durand in defense of his friends, the expressiveness he could pack into a glance, that little frown as he thought something through, the twitch at the corner of his lips as he leaned close to say it, and always something worth hearing, something nobody else would have. Durand glanced sideways, and Leo quickly away.
Right. Okay, yeah. Okay. Now that I think about it, I should not have missed this the first time I read this book. Because like I've said before, right? This A Little Hatred is the first audiobook that I ever listened to. And it was about 8 or 9 years after I listened to the first law. So I kind of had like a vague recollection of the characters. And just going through this, right? That is the way that fantasy writers describe characters.
Really?
Yep. Now, loads of like cheesy fantasy novels, this is exactly how their male characters are described. So if you're reading this on the first time and you're not expecting it, you can completely miss the fact that this is Leo thirsting for his fucking his race.
And top of all that too, like and that plays into what you mentioned before. He mentions all his companions, right? Like he mentions the fact that, you know, oh, like these warrior kings, like what Leo is living in fantasy land. He thinks that the kings of old, like we know for a fact, both from like in universe and because of real life, that like what he is thinking of is propaganda at best, and fanciful like kid, you know, jump on a rock and pretend you're the king, stories. Because like, you know, we know that Herod would basically be nothing without Bias, and we know that Casimir was actually kind of weak sauce without Baez. You know what I mean? Like they weren't, like, obviously they were probably more than Baez implied, but they're less than what history implies. And so we know that this, with the context of the universe, which by the way is awesome that he includes that, is like all fantasy. And then he looks at his friends and he's like, my God, look at, like, he
look at these handsome heroes.
It's such a good, it's written so well because it really is the mind of some noble kid from this time period who read a fuck ton of stories and heard a fuck ton of stories and is completely missing the point of all of it. And it's so good. It's so impressive.
It is. I mean, this is
like it's like these days with people that think that Walter White was the hero of that story. You know, they're like, oh, Walter White's such a badass. Like, no, you just missed the. Whoa.
You fucking fool.
Media literacy is at a all-time low, apparently. I like how, so the whole thing about this, the premise of this chapter, right, folks, for you first-time readers, if you're reading along, is that they're overlooking their, like, parts of their army making they're doing a marched retreat, right? So it's not like they're running for their lives. But they also see that there's some Northmen across the valley, you know, silhouetted on top of a hill or something.
And again, this is just a parallel. Sorry, just for the Battle of the Cumnor, when Ladislaw leads that battle, and they're up on the hill, and he's like, "They are mocking us." Charge! Which is exactly what Leo would have done if his mum wasn't there.
Right, and so Finri is here,
yes,
and you know, they were like, "Oh man, some taste of victory will prick up these men," and she goes, "Listen here." Because she joins the group, and she goes, "We ain't doing that. First of all, that's not even Stour Nightfall's men. Those are Black Calder's men. And if you look to this clumping of trees to the left or whatever, you'll see men there." And Geron looks. He's like, "God damn it!" And then they're like, and besides, this is a bit of trickery here too as well. I'm having the worst of the army here do a march retreat, but our actual best men, they're, you know, behind a different valley or whatever. So she's doing something like there's some trickery going on here because she knows Black Calder is obviously a man of cunning. We all know Calder. We all know that. I like how there was this thing where I guess she sees like a bit of a scab on Leo's face, and she goes, what's that? He goes, "Oh, I was training with Antop and Barnava." She goes, "Oh, they're fighting them both at once?" And he goes, I saw Premier Doors do it."
And I like how Finri's like, "No, that is not a man you want to take lessons from."
Yeah.
He's like, she's like, "He literally tried killing your father." I guess she didn't see that for sure.
She didn't see that, but he did. Yeah,
she didn't see that. And apparently, she calls out Leo for having too high of an opinion of himself, and goes like, "Just, try to tone it down, man. Try to tone it down." And then
that is the theme throughout. Every single time we see Leo and Finri together, it's just, "Leo, just fucking calm down, please." We're trying to fight a war here. It's not your fucking ego. It's not about your ego. Stop it. And Leo's just like, "Okay." And then he goes outside. He's like, "Actually, maybe it is."
And apparently, so he talks about, somebody mentioned something like, "Oh, the lady governor always makes some very good points, and you really should read Verturio," which is like, one of the Solicus, like, these great works of
Kafka. If for those who don't remember, it's like an art of war. Casca read it, and he taught Monza how to read, and Monza read it, and and then Baez mentions it, and it's a good little world building thing that they mention. If Vittorio is like Sun Tzu. It's like, oh, he is wise.
It's three of them, isn't it? It's either Stolicus, Vittorio, or it's Baez himself as Beelzebub. So it's like, if you're going to talk about tactics, it's those three. One of those three always gets brought up.
Yeah, and I like how Leo mentions that she's only governor until the king confirms me in my father's place. So it's been 3 years, and Leo has been waiting. But here's the thing. That position is not one that's passed down from generation to generation. It's appointed.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting.
Which is, again, that is brought up as well in the Dagosta siege.
Before they're hanged, right?
Because Verms is the Lord Governor, but his son won't inherit it, and that's why he betrays it. Betrays the council.
That, and also, it's also brought it with Mead, remember? And prior to, like, even the heroes or whatever, it was mentioned that, like, he's, like, the brother of Mead, the initial Lord Governor Mead, only became the Lord Governor because they kind of didn't have anybody else at the time. But it's like even Baez was talking about how, like, hey, they shouldn't expect to, like, keep this in the family. That's not how this is going to work.
No,
yeah,
which is very rare for this kind of thing. It's more like a Roman thing to do that than it is for the way that the actual central government of the Union seems to work.
Well, I think there's it's interesting because there's a bit of the Open Council is modeled off of the Venice governmental system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to remember too, is that he has combined multiple facets of this. So people mention, like, well, fantasy, or like a feudal system. It's not really a feudal system. There's something like it's different. Like there are
North is a feudal system.
The North is a feudal system.
No, not even. Not really.
Oh, it's a pre-feudal system, actually. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
I mean, this I would say this is a feudal system when it comes to, like, the noblemen calling up their armies for the king. But like in terms of, like, how the government is kind of run, it's like a weird, like, mishmash, which I like. I like mishmash.
Yeah,
you already have, like, a semi-democracy when the Blade itself started.
Yeah,
because I feel like maybe Baez is sort of trying to do like a fake, like a copy of the old empire. It's like, they used to have debates in Olcus back in the day, so maybe we should just do that.
Yeah.
It's true. He is. I do think that's the big element of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
What were we talking about again?
We were talking. We were just talking about. I was pointing out the notion that Leo thinks that the Lord Governorship should go to him by right of his father, which is obviously not going to be the case. We'll see.
No, but that's the way that they must think. A lot of these people think of what's called male primogeniture.
Yeah.
So, the oldest son gets the title.
They think he thinks he's entitled to it, but and so Leo does this one nice thing where it's like some more soldiers are marching past, and one of them's like a drummer, and so Leo walks up to him and he goes, "Hey, give me your sticks and give me your drum and whatever." And basically, him and the boys march with these group of men just to lift their spirits up.
Yeah,
because he thinks back to like what his father had said about sharing in the misery of your men or the hardships of your men. You know what I mean? And he knows that he's not like he's gonna have a nice, nice tent, warm food, all that stuff. But so it's like little acts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he basically encourages them all to march with some pep in their stuff. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much it. That's the end of the chapter. Boys, what do you want to talk about or rate?
I feel like this is very similar to the record chapter. We get a lot of character development. But again, if this was the old days, like all of this would just be combined into the last chapter as well. Like,
yeah.
I especially, like you mentioned, just the way that you read that passage. It's just, it's just absolutely fantastic. There's some very early signs here that Leo is deeply in the closet, and I think that is just fantastic. I think I've never seen a character written this well that is like this.
Glad you enjoyed it.
I think that is brilliant. Thank you, Jeffrey.
You're welcome.
I've got a record of that now. I'm gonna. I will give this one just slightly higher. I'll give this one a 4.5.
Okay. Harrison?
Like you said, like it's done creatively, and I think it's got more going on. We kind of get an update. It feels more like progression, and part of that's because they're watching the armies. Venry mentions how the armies are moving, but feels like it has more of a purpose where it's at in the story. Like there needs to be kind of a filler chapter. So I'm gonna give it, but it's pretty weak. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 9.
Okay, I was gonna give it 3 in a knuckle, little higher than the Ricka, and honestly, only because of that one paragraph about how he has the hots for his friends. That's really it. Otherwise, I would have
What
given
a
this
great paragraph to have on there.
Yeah, seriously, it saved it for me. Oh, we see you, Leo, you cockmuncher, you.
I do want to say just at the end of that as well, I love the fact that a lot of the things, even though that when Leo makes bad decisions, things work out well for him. Because obviously
he fails upwards.
He fails upwards. He does absolutely fail upwards, but I love him for it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's such a well done character trait. Because we know that, these men are meant to be marching badly because it's a ruse.
Yeah.
But then maybe
ruse? You mean like Salem?
It kind of like enhances the ruse because he doesn't know about it. So these men are marching badly. Oh, but now the commander's come along to cheer them up. It makes it look more real.
Yeah, exactly. So
even though he's doing the right thing without even knowing it, and for the wrong reasons.
Right. Like Finry did tell him that she gave those orders to do it badly on purpose.
Yes.
But him doing that, he's unwittingly providing authenticity to the ruse, like you said.
I think that's just it's a very good way of Leo interacting, which is something we don't get to see. I think the reason why the Ricker chapter is slightly worse is because it's just her and his son, and they're not really doing anything. Right. Whereas Leo is interacting with all these people. He's interacting with Finry and the crew and the army and with the North while they're at war with them. So there's more dynamics there.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, thank you for that, boys. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support means so much.
Join us next week as we cover The Moment, Break What They Love, and It Was Bad.
And make sure you follow us on all of our social media or shoot us an email at circletheworldpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And please make sure to rate and review us. Thank you all again for listening.
So, we'll take what we can get.